Morning, everybody. This is Rabbi Kolakowski here again. A few things on my mind. I was going to make a video about this yesterday, but I didn't, and I should have. And then something that I think I'll lead with today's news. So the first thing from today, and I'm sometimes a little behind. I didn't watch these Democrat debates. I watched a little bit of the other one because I was away on vacation. Not vacation. It was I was away on training for work, but I was on a business trip actually. But but I want to get to something I think much more important than the dog and pony show of the Democrat debates, as I think Mary Ann Williamson said. When I said Mary Ann Williamson, like, my wife was like, "Oh, you mean Mary Ann Williamson?" So I got corrected. But before we go to that, I want to talk about this horrible law that Governor Cuomo signed into law, banning teachers from carrying guns in school. Now, I'm not that old, right? I'm 35. I was born in 1984. But when I was in junior high, I remember there was a rifle club in the school. Like, I didn't know much about it, but I know, the kids, got to play with guns, just like, as part of it was a school club, it was like a sports team, So, the times, they are changing, I guess, and they have changed in whatever it is, 20 years, I guess, since what I'm talking about. I mean, it was 20 years ago that I switched from public school to yeshiva. But I think that was the last year they had the gun club, if I'm not mistaken, and I wouldn't have been eligible until I think I was in 7th grade when I found out about the gun club, and I think 9th grade you were eligible. I would have joined that gun club. I thought, I don't have a problem with guns, but the thing is do people realize how stupid that law is? Not only stupid, but dangerous it is. I mean, where do these mass shootings take place? In quote-unquote no-gun zones, right? Because a no-gun zone basically means you're not going to get shot if you shoot a bunch of people, because it's a no-gun zone. So, all the people who follow the rules are not going to have guns. So that means the only people who are going to have guns in a no-gun zone are criminals, bad guys, dangerous people. That's just common sense. I mean, if a crazy guy, he's going to go shoot up a school, and he's like, well, maybe the teacher's packing, maybe he'll think twice about it. I mean, like I said before, look at the difference between the two synagogue shootings. The one in a real synagogue in California, where people had guns, and so lives were saved because of that. And the only casualty was really because this lady was jumping in front of the bullet to save the rabbi. And she was a hero. Whereas in the liberal temple in Pittsburgh, they're like, oh, we're all friendly. This is a no gun zone. So they're making themselves sitting ducks. in addition to the fact that what went on in that temple rightfully upset people and should never have been done in the name of the Jewish people. But we made another video about that. I'm not going to talk about that. That doesn't justify killing innocent people just because people are upset about something that was going on in there that was wrong. Advocating people not following the rule of law. That's never what NYS was about 50 years ago. But still, even then, the Satmar Rebbe was smart enough to see that allowing liberals who call themselves Jews to do these types of things in our name is dangerous, and that's why he set up the Rav Tuv to actually help legal immigrants, even though, again, in the old days, NYS only helped legal immigrants, but now all of a sudden they turn into something, they basically have stolen that name and turned into something that has no respect for the rule of law. And Judaism emphatically says, Dina de Malchus Adina, the law of the land is the law. So to advocate for violating law is un-Jewish, is anti-Jewish. And they should never be doing such things in the name of Judaism or the Jewish people. But that's neither here nor there. That doesn't justify this guy shooting these people. These are innocent people. They didn't deserve to be killed. But this is there is some responsibility, not on the victim's side, but on NYS. They do bear some responsibility. And instead of humbly recognizing their sins, they're doubling down. And it's very dangerous to Jewish people, and that's why Jews should make it clear that they have nothing to do with NYS. No Orthodox Jewish newspaper or anything should accept any advertising from NYS or anything like that. We have to stand up and say we believe in the rule of law, we believe in Dina Malchus Adina, and that's it. If the laws are changed, the laws are changed. If you don't like the law, you can advocate to change laws. That's part of living in America, but you can't just wantonly break the laws. Again, that's neither here nor there. And again, the same thing. If a teacher is carrying a gun against this new law, even though the law is wrong, they're breaking the law, and they're wrong, and we can't break the law, but we should be lobbying against this horrible, horrible law, which is basically putting people in danger, because the fact that, the whole idea of a gun-free zone should be illegal, because all it does is make people sitting ducks. Now people are like, oh, does that mean like you want it to be like the Old West and there's a shootout? No, the answer is that the murderers, the terrorists, will only enter a gun-free zone. They won't enter a zone. I'm not even saying that the teachers have to be packing guns, but the fact that it should be a question of whether or not they are should be enough of a deterrent, and generally is, because the vast majority of these mass shootings take place in gun-free zones. And when they don't, or people, aren't aware, generally what happens is, lives are saved because it isn't a gun-free zone. Because there was a good guy with a gun to stop the bad guy with a gun. Not saying every teacher should be able to just carry a gun, but if a teacher is trained and licensed, they should have that gun on them just as much as, any parishioner in a church or a synagogue or a mosque or something. Muslims in mosques have to be worried about, deranged, anti-religious left-wing bigots that attack the mosques. Again, there should be this, even though, it's distasteful to us as religious people to have this, and it would be ideal not to have to carry a gun, especially on the Sabbath or even on a weekday in a house of worship. But if it's legal, it could be a deterrent. It could save a lot of lives. Now, whether it means, and I think both, it's one thing, to have the armed guards, but again, the bad guy's going to know that the armed guard has the gun, and he's going to take him out first. And he might not be prepared. It's better that he shouldn't know who has the gun, or it shouldn't even have to know whether or not people have guns or not. I mean, again, I don't think it's even necessary to have the guns as long as you're allowed to, and that should be enough of a deterrent. Just that question of maybe someone has a gun could be a deterrent. And that's why I believe, these gun control laws are they're much more dangerous, and I'm, somewhat libertarian when it comes to drug laws. I don't believe people should be doing drugs. I think it's wrong and stupid. Do they necessarily have to go to jail for it? Does the government necessarily have to make the decision for adults of what they do to their own bodies? As opposed to if someone commits, a crime or does something dangerous under the influence of a drug, that makes more sense to prosecute them all the more so for that, for being irresponsible in their use of these drugs. Just like we treat, it's not illegal to drink alcohol, but it's illegal to drive under the influence of alcohol. And that should be I think that should kind of be the way it is. But the law is the law. Until the law is changed, you have to follow the law. But we see, drug laws don't do anything to stop people from using drugs. The fact that, the law is not a deterrent for all these people who are using these drugs. And for people who are not interested, I have no interest in using drugs that are currently illegal. It seems to be a stupid thing to me. But should there be a law against being stupid? I mean, again, certain drugs, perhaps, we should keep the status quo of keeping them legal because they are poison, because they kill people. But marijuana, I don't know, again. But the thing is that I don't think a state can decriminalize it, but it's still illegal federally. I mean, until the federal government legalizes or decriminalizes marijuana, it's still illegal in all 50 states. And the fact that a state is not going to, doesn't consider it illegal, doesn't give people the right to use it illegally. But the federal government should legalize marijuana, maybe leave that up to the states, that type of thing. Leave it up to the local governments, just like it is. We still have to today, local governments that are, where you can't buy alcohol. There are still dry towns in New York State. These types of questions should be left up to the state and local governments and not the federal government. I think that's really my approach to that. With that being said, that's one thing to talk about. But there's something much deeper here is this whole issue of the guns. Making guns illegal is much worse than making drugs illegal. Why? Not only the major issue of the Second Amendment and people misunderstanding what the Second Amendment is about. But the danger in these types of laws goes beyond the issues of the Second Amendment, which I think we could talk about once we get this clear. And the danger is, like we said, the fact that people do not, if you don't know whether or not somebody is carrying a gun, that should be enough of a deterrent for a bad guy that, well, maybe there's a good guy with a gun that's going to stop me. Maybe it's not worth it for me to do this evil act of murder for random innocent people. So a law like this, saying teachers cannot carry guns, is a severe danger to school students. So that's, and the same thing, all of these no gun zone laws, all they do is make people targets. And I know in our synagogue there are people who are packing, and it makes me very happy. And the same thing when I was a rabbi in Richmond, Virginia. People asked me permission. I said, absolutely. Of course you have to. Even on Shabbos. I mean, one guy, he drove to shul on Shabbos. I'm going to tell him not to carry a gun when he's driving to shul anyway. And I know what the Mishnah says. We're in Galus. We're in exile. The earth is in a fallen state. This is the way to approach things. So then the next thing to discuss, this whole issue of the let's briefly talk about the Second Amendment. What is the Second Amendment really about? The same Andrew Cuomo said nobody needs 11 bullets to shoot a deer. The Second Amendment is not about shooting deer. It's about making sure people like Andrew Cuomo don't get too powerful. Yeah, there is a limit. They were allowed to put down the Whiskey Rebellion. It's not a free-for-all. But we also could not allow the government to get too powerful, and the government should have a certain amount of fear from their populace because we're their bosses. Like I remember the episode of The Simpsons where President Bush was signing a bill into law, and he said this should, and there was like some king from some little African country there or something, and he's like, this should make my bosses happy. And the king there, he says, your bosses? And he says, yeah, all 250 million of them. And it's true. We are the bosses of the public servants who are in our government. And I think that's the major difference between the Republican view and the Democrat view. The Republican view recognizes that the people are the boss, and that the Republican, members of the government recognize that they work for us. Whereas the Democrats see it the opposite. They see that we work for them. We owe them the taxes. They're nice enough to let us have, some money back type of thing. So we got to be cognizant of that. All right. So that's pretty much my rant about Governor Cuomo's issues with outlawing guns in schools. It's a really stupid idea. I can't believe we didn't hear more about it before it took place. We should have been able to fight it. I mean, thank God we're fighting now this issue with the schools, with the religious schools. But how did this get under the radar? It's really horrifying, frightening, scary, and dangerous. All right, let's hope and pray that I'm wrong, and that it's not dangerous, just by virtue of happenstance, that we don't have these things happen, and God should have mercy on us. And obviously, outside the realm of government, that God is in charge. If somebody is supposed to live, they live, and the opposite, it's the same. But we don't. It's not a free for all. We still have to be responsible. We can't just say, well, it's all in God's hands, and not take any responsibility. Well, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. And I think it was the Ripper Zushi who said, sometimes you have to learn some things from the atheists, and part of it is taking personal responsibility that God gives us for us to mature and grow in our lives. All right, thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. 275, that's pretty good. I gotta maybe on the way back get gas again. I just filled up was 279 last night. All right, we'll see you later.